So we will get started. Everybody's sitting down in a nice, comfortable, cross-legged position. Let's just start by kind of getting into the moment and coming into the space. Just moving around and getting situated however comfortable feels to you. And then let's roll our shoulders up and back to start off. Just getting some of the cranks out of our neck. On the inhale, you can lift up, shoulders coming up. And on the exhale, feel them rolling down and back. Just a couple more like this. Just coming into the space, trying to let go of some of the tension that we've been holding all day. And then you can change directions if it feels good to you. You can bring them up and to the front and down. So now we're just getting some mobility in the upper back, right? So opening up the traps and lats, everything in the upper back. Good, and then going back a few to the up and back now, the opposite direction. Good, and then let's just let that go. And we'll do some maybe neck circles next, just to release some tension in the neck. And so you can either do them in kind of a flowing way, back and forth, or you can hold too. So tonight I'm going to show a version of just holding it. And so taking your right hand out and tenting it to the side of you. Yeah, and then you're going to take your left ear to your left shoulder and just feeling that stretch all the way along the side of the right neck and maybe all the way down to the fingertips even. Breathing here, making sure your spine isn't rounded and you're not hunched, so your back is straight, spine is lifted, and then from there you're stretching the whole side of the right neck. You can take your fingers and gently place them on your temples just to increase the stretch a little bit if that feels good. Good. And then I want you to guide your chin down towards your left armpit. So now we're going to get into the back of the neck a little bit. So taking that chin and pointing it down to your armpit and getting into the back. Good. Breathing here. Should feel really good. Take another nice, long, deep breath, filling up your belly, chest, rib cage, and letting go. And we're going to come up to center. I always like to kind of help my head up after one of those like intense stretches. So I kind of just push my head up. Back to the start. Change the cross of your legs just so we can give our hips a break. And then we'll go to the other side and do that same stretch to the other side. So reaching out and tenting your left fingertips. And then making sure your spine first is straight, long, crown is lifted. And then from there, reaching your right ear to your right shoulder. And it might not look like much, but the stretch might be really intense for you. So just start breathing into that. It looks like twist is up there helping. Good. And then if you want, taking your right hand and just helping the stretch intensify a little bit. Inhaling and exhaling. Letting go of the day. Whatever happened today, it's all over. There's nothing we can do. We can't change anything that happened. We can maybe learn from it, but as far as start thinking about it over and over, that's not helpful. So then you can guide your chin now over to the right armpit. And so now you're kind of letting your right hand grab the back of your head and just moving more into the back of the neck now on the left side. Breathe here for a little bit. You can let out a sigh. appreciating how good this feels, especially if you've been tensing your shoulders all day. Good, and then you can let that go when you're ready, pushing your head back up to center. Awesome. Whew, already my shoulders feel different. Neck feels longer and taller. Good. Now, let's come onto our hands and knees. So just turning around onto your hands and knees. We're just going to try to get into the upper back and shoulders a little bit here. Just continuing to let go in the upper body. So taking your hands and walking them out in front of you, we're going to move into puppy pose. So stretching your hands out and then letting your chest sink down into the mat. Forehead might come to the floor. If not, that's okay. So breathing into this really actually intense stretch for your back and your armpits and your shoulders. Opening up the chest. Inhale and exhale. If you need to come out of it, you can come out of it a little bit. But feeling that length in the arms, openness in the shoulders and the armpits. Chest is opening up. And then when you are ready, or if you want to, walking your hands towards you and pushing back now into a child's pose. So now we're getting into the lower back. You could do wide leg or knees together, whatever feels best. But what I want you to do is I want you to rock your hips back and forth, just in a really nice kind of rocking motion, so that you can feel the opening up in both sides, if this feels good. And you should feel this in your hips too. An opening in the outer hips, the side glute. And then you can come into stillness if you like. Placing your forehead on the mat, feeling your third eye grounding down into the earth. Maybe for the first time today, you're feeling your brain relaxing, thoughts dissipating, floating away. Try to feel into your body now. What does your body feel like? Not thinking, not analyzing, not problem solving, just feeling. And then when you're ready, come on back up into all fours. And we're going to lower down into a cobra. So you might want to bring your hands out in front of you a little bit more. And then just lower down onto your belly. And you can start with your forehead on the mat. So we're basically like in a belly shavasana now. Doesn't that feel good? Forehead to the mat, or maybe you have one cheek to the mat. And then coming up into a cobra. So a little baby cobra is basically just a very slight back bend. So you're just pushing your hands into the mat and opening up the chest a little bit. Good, and we're gonna flow here. So opening up the chest into a cobra, and then exhaling into a child's pose. On the inhale, we'll come on up again, transition into cobra. Looking up, opening your throat and your chest. Exhaling, and you can go at your own time, whatever works for you. Exhaling, pushing back into a child's pose. Inhaling, coming up, sliding up, chest comes forward, heart opens, look up. Exhaling again into a child's pose. Let's go a couple more times without me talking, just feeling how nice that feels to get that movement. Gentle, gentle movement. Opening up the hips and then opening up the chest. Maybe feeling a little bit of a burn in your triceps too. And then when you're done, coming into neutral now, we're going to be on all fours into neutral. Just staying still for one moment here, taking a breath. Good. And then coming up onto your knees. Yeah. Good. We're going to open up into the chest a little bit more. We will get more into the hips and the glutes. But I feel like after work, chest is always tight. So we're going to go into a little bit of a back bend here. We've just opened up our back with that moving little cobra. So now we're nice and open so we can go into a camel. And you can do camel either with your hands on your lower back like this, and then just opening up, slight back bend. So that would be version 1. And if you feel like your lower back can handle it, then you can bring your hands down, gently touching your heels. And if that hurts your lower back, just stay in the first one, and then breathing here. Some people like to open up their throat with putting their head all the way back. That's not great on my neck, so I don't do that. Good, feeling that intense opening in the chest. Good. And then slowly making your way up, one hand at a time. Slowly up. Good. And then we're going to come on back. Bring your legs out of the way. We're going to come on back to a butterfly pose. So with your feet and your heels together, knees are open. Getting now into the hips a little bit. But this is also a counter pose to camel. So with camel, we're in a deep back bend. And now we're going to be in a bit of a forward fold. So, but start with your spine straight, head is lifted, and then folding from the hips as you exhale. You can come down a little bit. Good, and now you're in a forward fold. This is really soothing for the nervous system. At the same time, opening up the hips. You can let your elbows come gently against your knees to kind of give your legs a little bit more of an open, a push down if that feels good. And then taking your thumbs to the inner parts of your foot and just giving yourself a little bit of a massage in the, what is that called? I forget. But anyways, not your heel. Well, wherever feels good, you give yourself a massage. Our feet are like trapped in shoes all day, right? And so it's really nice to kind of massage them a little bit. And then after you're done that, you can just come down into a resting butterfly. So now you can round your back and just let everything go and fold forward. Good. That should feel good. If it doesn't feel good on your hips, you could come into a different pose. You can also bring your feet out farther in front of you if it's a little too much on your hips. It seems like such a insignificant pose, but the forward fold is really resetting your nervous system. And then you're opening your hips and your pelvis. If you have any sort of like cramps or anything like this is an awesome pose to do during crampy time. Good, and let's lift up now, straightening our spine again. Bringing your knees together, feet on the floor. We are going to go into shoelace pose. It's a little bit intense, so just be aware of what's going on in your body. So shoelace pose is where you can bring you're crossing your left knee under your right knee, and you're basically stacking them on top of each other if you can. And if that's totally unavailable to you, this can also be done lying down. If it feels better lying down, it's like this, crossing one knee over the other and then grabbing the feet and bringing your knees close into your chest. Oh, actually that feels really good lying down if anyone wants to do the lying down version. But if you like the sitting up one, that's cool too. Yeah, so this is a really deep, intense stretch for the hips and the glutes. And so you might start kind of with your spine upright, and then as your hip opens up a little bit more, you can walk your hands out in front of you, and you can even come forward. Your belly will be pushing on the upper leg, and so it'll intensify the stretch. But try to yearn your heart forward so that you're not kind of crunching over. Now breathing into the right hip. This is really intense. And if you're on your back, if you're on your back, you're pulling on your feet with your hands, but then you're also pushing into your hands with your feet to intensify it. Just giving that right hip a chance to release. We're gonna stay here for a couple more breaths. If we want to get deeper into the muscle, it just takes some time and breathing. And if you're not feeling it in your right hip to a great degree, you just want to make sure then both cheeks are on the ground. And you can come forward even more and fold over the knee if you like. Now into a resting, relaxed pose. We'll just do one more deep breath here. Awesome, and then you can come up and unwind your legs. Whew. If you're laying down, do a little bit of a windshield wiper. Actually, you can do that seated too. So just moving hips or knees side to side. My hip just cracked. That feels so good. And then we're gonna go to the other side when everybody's ready. Yeah, take a sip of water if you like. Stay hydrated. And when you're ready, we can go to the other side, crossing the right knee under the left knee and trying to stack them. Good. If it's not bothering your knees or your hips, then this is good. If it is, then just do the one lying on your back. It can be quite intense, the one on your back too. So starting from like kind of a straight spine position, opening the heart, and then as you're folding forward, monitoring how it's feeling in your hips, bringing your hands out and walking forward a little bit. And then you can breathe into that. With each breath, you might be able to go a little bit farther forward if it feels good. It's all about feeling. None of it is about how it looks. I mean, it is about how it looks in terms of alignment, but it's not about how it looks in terms of getting into the pose deeply. It's all about how deep it feels in your hip. I do this pose almost every day. When I wake up in the morning, I do it because my hips are so sore in the morning. Breathing. One more breath here. exhaling. If you want, actually take one more breath, folding all the way forward. Yeah, you can bring your forehead to your knee, like Juanita's doing it. Whatever feels good. We're just going into now just the yin version of relaxing everything. Taking a couple breaths here because it feels so good. There is compression happening right now in the hip, and so when we release that compression, that's when the blood flow can come back in, and that's what we want to promote, right? More blood flow in the area. So when you're done, you can come on up, unwind your legs, and then just do whatever feels good. Maybe straightening them out in front of you might feel good. Maybe wiggling your feet a little bit. Yeah, whatever feels good to just release all of that in your hips. I think we're gonna now slowly stand up. So let's get standing up. Maybe take a sip of water. Take a moment just to feel what it feels like now standing up. How do your hips feel? Even though we're standing up, we're still going to stay on the restorative train. I wanted to get us to stand up because I want to do a forward fold pose that's going to get into our IT band and the side of our hips. So actually though, let's start with a forward fold, just a regular forward fold though, with our hands clasped behind our back so we can open up our shoulders and chest. So to start it off, clasping your hands and then opening up your heart, you can look up, do like a little bit of a back bend on the inhale, and then on the exhale, you're folding forward from the hips, bringing your hands out and over, kinda, sorta, and just breathe here. You can give a little bend to your knees too. This is like pretty intense for the hamstrings and the calves. So just breathing here. If it feels better to just like dangle your arms in front of you or clasp your elbows, then go ahead and do that too. Whatever feels the best, yeah. Releasing your cervical spine now. Letting your neck unwind. Such a great pose for resetting the nervous system, lengthening the cervical spine, just letting those vertebrae have a break from being squished on top of each other. And then let's roll up. We're gonna roll up and roll down a few times just because it feels so good. So letting your arms dangle now in front of you, having everything super loose. And we're going to have a slight bend in the knees and then rolling up slowly so that when you come up, your chin is the last thing to come up, and you can roll your shoulders back. Good, and then on the exhale, we're gonna roll down again. So just rolling down, just like we came up. Exhaling. On the inhale, we're gonna roll up again. This time taking your hands all the way up, reaching up, opening the side body. And then on the exhale, rolling down again, however feels good. We'll just do this 2 more times at your own pace. I don't really know if this is a yoga move or not, but it just feels really good for the spine, for the nervous system. And you'll notice at one point when you roll down, you're getting a little bit further and deepening into the stretch. Coming up and then down one more time. When you come up, reaching up, lengthening through the sides. looking up, and then exhaling, rolling down. And when you get to the bottom, this is when we're going to get into the IT band stretch. So, sorry, just fixing something. So you're at the bottom now, and you're going to take your right hand and you're going to yearn it towards the left. So reach your right hand over to the left side of the mat, and then you're going to bend into the left knee. Wait, no, I got that wrong. Sorry, bend into the right knee. You're going to bend into the right knee while reaching to the left with the right hand. You're going to feel an intense stretch in the left IT band. Yeah, you might want to give your IT band a little massage there. This is a really intense stretch. So again, right knee is bent, left leg is coming as straight as possible, right hand is reaching over to the left. Breathing here. Oh, I'm just giving my IT band a little rub because that's so intense. And then we can switch sides when you're ready. So left hand reaches over now to the right side of the mat, bending deeply through the left knee, and then opening up the right hip and the right IT band. Nice. You're even getting into like the lower back here, the whole glute, especially on the side. And then we are going to come back to neutral, and we're going to combine two poses now. So taking your hands clasped behind your back, opening them up, or folding forward, sorry. And then we're going to do that last one. So, okay, so you're bending through the left knee and opening up to the right. So hands are falling over to the left, yeah, and then the other way. This should feel really good on your chest. So you're just opening up one way and opening up another way. Yes. Good. And then if it feels awkward to have the hands clasped, you can also just bring them down, and you can do that motion where you're moving back and forth between straightening and bending one knee and the other. Nice. Okay, good. Let's let that go. For a minute, just fold into a forward fold and just feel into how it feels right now. Do you feel like you're going much deeper than at the beginning of the class? I certainly do. So opening up into the backs of the legs. Okay, and then we can inhale and roll on up. Good. We're going to do one balance pose that requires a little bit of strength, so opt out if you like, but then we're going to be coming right back onto the mat to do Shavasana pretty soon. Sorry, I just have to take a drink of water. So for this one, it's a balancing and hip opening. So grounding down through your left foot, you want to have your left foot really stable and sturdy on the ground. Maybe you spread your toes apart. You just feel like that left leg is weighted down. And then taking your right knee and floating that up into a 90-degree angle. Whew, yep, okay, we're there. And then if that feels good, just adjusting your hips a little bit, pushing your right one down, yep, good. And then crossing the right knee over the right ankle over the left knee. Okay, I've already lost my balance. If this feels good, you can have your hands on your hips. You can have them in prayer. And you might just be right here, or you might start sitting back a little and feeling that really, really deep stretch into the right glute. Good, and then you can breathe here. Left leg's doing a lot of work. We're just gonna do 2 more breaths. Shoulders relaxed. Mine were up by my ears. And come on out nice and slowly. Good, letting that leg down. Perfect. wiggling it out a little bit. And we're gonna move to the other side. So that one is probably one of the deepest stretches I've ever had for glutes and hips. But at the same time, it's like hard to keep that balance. So it's hard to stay there as long as I would like. That's why we keep working. So now lengthening down through your right foot, feeling your right foot grounding down. It's almost getting like sucked down into the earth, like there's a magnet under it. It's stuck. Good, and then you wanna float your left knee up. And then adjust your hips a little bit because the left one probably came up. Good, and then go ahead into the pose. Knee, ankle over knee. And when you're ready, you can sit back, finding your drishti, maybe a couple feet in front of you on the floor. Good, and then breathing here for 3 breaths. Oh, this side, I have to actually move out of it for a sec. So we have to listen to our bodies. Good, okay. 2 more breaths. Feeling deeply into the left hip. 1 more breath. Woo! Oh, nice job, Christy. I love the pose. And coming out slowly if you can, unlike me. Beautiful. Yeah, and then just letting that all go. Maybe just give your body a shake everywhere. Awesome. All right, so like I said, we will now come down to the mat. That was our 1 power pose of the night. We can come down onto our backs. We're going to move into Shavasana pretty quick here. We'll just do a little bit of a supine twist. So taking your knees into your chest. Oh, that might feel really good. It does for me. And then just rocking side to side. Really soothing motion here. Still letting our thoughts go, not clinging on to any of them. And then when you're ready, you can just let your knees fall over to one side. So just letting them fall over, arms can be in a T, and just relax into that little twist. This should feel really good. Taking a few breaths here, feeling your heartbeat slow down now. Knowing that we're at the end of our journey. And thanking yourself for coming to the mat. There's so many competing things that we need to do. And it's really special to be able to show up for yourself for a half hour and show up for each other too. Okay, you can switch sides now. Bringing your knees and just letting them flop over to the other side. And this should feel really good. Letting everything go. You're not really holding on to any sort of pose or trying to be in any alignment here at all. It just should feel good. And taking a couple deep breaths here. And you can stay in the twist, or you can come into a Shavasana, legs out in front of you. Hands and arms can be wherever feels good. And we'll just take a couple deep breaths here. In the last few minutes here. Letting everything relax down into the earth. Doing a quick scan through your body. Maybe there's some places that are still tight and still sore, and that's okay. Are there any areas that feel a bit better? How does it feel to have a break from thoughts and busyness of our mind and doing? And just appreciate that for a moment. And just staying here in Shavasana for as long as you like. The video is going to cut off soon. So when you guys come out of Shavasana, I just want to say namaste to you. And thank you so much for showing up here. I hope your hips feel better. And just to close the class now, we'll bring our hands to our heart in Anjali Mudra. And namaste. Thank you for joining. I will see you next Wednesday. I hope your hips feel better.